Hello, everyone. Debbie Kelly, University of Missouri Extension in Jefferson County, just south of St. Louis. And I'm here to tell you about the Great Plains Growers Conference. It is a 4-state conference for our specialty growers. The conference is going to be held January 13th and 14th in St. Joseph, Missouri. It's an exciting conference. I've been on the planning committee for numerous years. So let me tell you all about it. Our keynote speaker on Friday is going to be Adam Montree, and he is with 10 Hens Farm out of Bath, Michigan. And he's pretty well known across the specialty crop industry up in the northern plains about what he does on his farm and how successful he is. So we're really looking forward to his keynote, and he's going to do a couple of breakout sessions as well. So stay tuned for what he has to say. On Friday, our tracks, we have one that's going to be on fruit trees. So we're looking at high density fruit production, spraying with drones. If you need to spray your orchard or your trees in any capacity, think about how you might be able to utilize drones to do that. Looking at tree fruit diseases, cold hardiness in apples, some great presentations on this track. Also on Friday, we're looking at high tunnels, and we're having the top 10 crops that are most successful to be grown in a high tunnel. We're looking at high tunnels versus caterpillar tunnels. Which of those actually are you going to use for what type of production? And there is a key to that. What about insurance? That's a good topic to talk about, especially as we're moving into winter and snow is coming and could collapse our high tunnels in some way. How do we maintain our tunnels? What about marketing those crops that we're growing? And then this last one on watermelons, can we actually grow watermelons in a high tunnel to get a jump on that growth so that we can actually have them available for sale for the 4th of July? Because if you do and they're local, you're going to garner a higher price for those. So that's a good one. And we've got some good results out of that research from the University of Missouri that you'll be hearing about. Also on Friday, just a generic track on vegetables. So plastic mulch color, the color of that mulch and how it affects the soil temperature could be something that might help you to jumpstart those crops in the spring. Mechanical cultivation, organic production of garlic. What about potatoes and roots for winter sales? How do you get enough so that you can have crops for sale over the winter? And your root crops and your potatoes are good ones for that. So listen. That's a good one. Pumpkin production, my colleague Katie Kamler, that is her passion. If you've heard her talk about pumpkins, I guarantee you're going to learn a lot with her on that. And then ground cherries. And you're like, cherries in a tree? No, they're a little bit different. Come to the conference and learn about them. We're also having the SARE Farmers Forum. This is those farmers who have received a SARE Farmer Rancher grant, and they are actually coming to the conference and they're going to talk about what their research project was so that you can learn from them, pick their brain about putting a grant together, and how you actually do research with this grant. Really interesting topics: medicinal root production, uncommon orchards with native plant understory. That one's piqued my interest. And then I don't know what this green cubator, that one's a hard word to say, but I'm interested to know what that's all about myself. And then the last track on Friday is the business and marketing one. So what are some programs out there that can actually help your business with risk management agency, RMA, and then FSA, the Farm Service Agency? What programs do they have? Social media strategies. How do you use those effectively? And how can loans help? And can they actually grow your business? We have someone coming from Michigan State University to talk about that, and also to talk about budgets on the farm. And then, of course, farm labor. That is always a hard thing. I hear farmers talking about that all the time. I need some good farm labor. And then once you actually get good farm labor, how do you manage them? Something else to think about. And that's going to be a great presentation as well. On Saturday, we have a whole track just on cut flowers. How do you start a flower farm? The soil tests, are they the same as what you would be looking at as if you're growing your vegetables versus cut flowers? And what does that all mean? Starting seeds. What about Lysianthus and dahlias? Lysianthus is a beautiful cut flower and how you can grow those in a high tunnel. And then the University of Missouri Extension has a research grant looking at growing lavender. And so our folks are going to be talking about that and how do you start lavender on the farm and how do you actually make it so it's a profitable crop for you and what products you can actually do besides just cut flowers. That's also going to be very interesting. We also have a small fruit track on Saturday looking at strawberries, day neutral strawberries, as well as how you get them pollinated. We have research also at the University of Missouri on elderberry. It's a multi-million-dollar research project. So there'll be an update on that where we are. I think we're in year 3 for that particular grant, which I believe is a 5-year grant. How do you control weeds in elderberries? Good information when it comes to the small fruit. We also have organic production. This is a track that everyone always seems to gravitate towards. What are some of those different funding sources with FSA, Farm Service Agency, and also with NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service? What about living mulches? How do you use those so that they're not in competition with the actual vegetable crops or fruit crops that you'll be growing? And what about marketing? What are some strategies for selling as an organic product? So that's things to think about. Also on Saturday, we have the integrated pest management. Spotted wing Drosophila is in our state. It's here to stay. What are some things that we need to look at in trying to be able to control those? The degree days, and you'll learn about what that is if you don't know what it is on the spotted wing Drosophila. But we have insect pest management, disease management. What about all of those insects that like our cucurbits? Yeah, those are pesky ones that we have to try to control. What about soil steaming versus soil solarization? What are those two and how can they and how do they help to control soil-borne diseases? Very interesting to think about that. And then bacterial diseases, especially in our fruit production, that's really common that's out there. Some good information to be presented for that. And then last on our tracks for Saturday is greenhouse and hydroponics. We'll talk about indoor plant propagation. What about actually growing crops to actually meet the needs of what you want for hydroponics? What are those crops and how can you get those? What about indoor mushroom cultivation? That's interesting as well. And then microgreens. Everybody is interested in microgreens right now. And that one I know will be a great presentation as well. So we also have a trade show where we have lots of vendors that come in, have their wares for sale or just some generic information about different programs that are out there. Usually Extension has a couple of different exhibits that are there. The Department of Agriculture will be there with their different types of programs that they have available. And other folks that are going to be there that I can't think of off the top of my head, they're just coming in right now, but it's a good event to see what some of those folks actually would have for you. To register for the conference, you can go out to greatplainsgrowersconference.org. The information is just now getting up on that website, so be patient with us if you're looking for a whole bunch of detail. Get a hold of me if you're interested. I can help you or anyone else that might be on the planning committee for the conference. We do have an early bird registration of $50 per day, and that's available through December 31st. So if you're looking and people are asking you, hey, what do you want for Christmas? Tell them you'd like a registration to attend the conference. Or if you know of someone that you would like to give a gift to, sign them up for this, pay for their registration.